Vasily Adamovich, Angela's neighbor, was an observant man, a former military man, a retired warrant officer, as he liked to say, with a deep sense of justice, even though he had once built his dacha with soldiers, hands, and probably from whatever building materials he could find where they were lying around. That day, he was leisurely digging in his plot. He was picking raspberries while awaiting the arrival of his grandchildren and children. It was a Saturday, and the morning was sunny. The air smelled of freshly cut grass and something homey and cozy, precisely what makes dacha life truly happy. But this happiness wasn't for everyone. Vasily Adamovich sat down on a bench under a luxurious apple tree to rest a bit when he suddenly heard a suspicious noise coming from Angela's plot. Angela was a young, energetic woman who had recently bought the neighboring plot with her husband and had already become famous throughout the dacha community for her thrifty approach. Her jars of cucumbers and preserves stood like soldiers on parade, and her vegetable garden was like a picture from a magazine called Garden and Vegetable Garden. Everything was neat, beautiful, and tidy, just like in a fairy tale. Vasily Adamovich listened. He knew that Angela and her husband wouldn't be arriving today. They'd warned him about it. So who's messing around at their dacha then? He thought. Approaching the fence, he froze in surprise. The doors to the house were wide open, and inside, a plump woman of about 60 with the face of a market trader was busy. Like a seasoned looter, she was raking jars of preserves from the shelves, stuffing them into 2 huge bags, and muttering something under her breath. Vasily Adamovich watched for a moment, and when he realized what was happening, he slammed his chin down deliberately loudly. Woman, I'm terribly sorry. What are you running this place for? He shouted. And what business is it of yours? Who are you? Quote. Olga Ivanovna winced, but then straightened up and then proudly declared, It's none of your business, dear sir, what I'm doing here. I'm taking what's mine by right. My son bought this dacha, which means I have the right to come whenever I want and take whatever I want. I'm Olga Ivanovna, Angela's mother-in-law, and I have my own key. My son gave it to me. But these are Angela's preserves. How can you take them without her? That's not right, Vasily Adamovich calmly remarked. She grew and made all this herself, and I think she would have warned me about your arrival. And what business is it of yours? You shouldn't have gotten involved in this at all, as if it were my own fault, Olga Ivanovna spat. She's Angela, as you say. She's living off my son, spending his money. So let her at least do something, like make some new preserves later. Quote. And I'm not going to starve while her jars are gathering dust here. Have you told her about this? Quote. Asked the neighbor. I don't have to say anything, the mother-in-law snapped. I'm a mother, and I have my rights. And anyway, why are you standing here like a warden? Go on, take care of your garden beds. I didn't invite you here. Quote. Vasily Adamovich narrowed his eyes, and a malicious glint familiar to all the neighbors lit up in his eyes. Well, fine, then, he said calmly and, turning around, went to his plot. We'll see how it goes. He took out his phone and dialed the number of the owner of the plundered plot, Angela Yuraevna. Angela, good afternoon. This is Vasily Adamovich calling. Listen, dear, some woman here says she's your mother-in-law. Yes. So she's here emptying the shelves in your house. Jars, potatoes, preserves. He loads it all into bags. Are you aware of this? There was silence on the other end of the line, and then Angela spoke in a voice that Vasily Adamovich understood. It's starting. Now you're aware, Vasily Adamovich, thank you. And don't go far. Perhaps I can use you as a witness. And if you can, please film what's going on there on your phone. That evening, a car pulled up to Olga Ivanovna's house, and a young but stern police officer in uniform appeared on the threshold. He rang the doorbell firmly. Olga Ivanovna Skvorsova, he asked in a formal, dry tone. Yes, it's me, answered the hostess, opening the door. I have a serious matter to discuss with you. What happened? The mother-in-law asked in surprise, adjusting her robe. You are accused of theft of someone else's property, the police officer said crisply. A neighbor at your daughter-in-law's place reported and confirmed that you were taking food and canned goods out of the house. This happened without Angela Yuraevna's knowledge. And Angela Yuraevna filed a report about it. Olga Ivanovna froze in place. Quote, what kind of nonsense is this? What the hell? She shrieked. What theft? This is our house. My son bought it. The house is registered to Angela Yuraevna, the district police officer explained calmly. And everything you took from there without her knowledge is considered theft, and a break-in at that. So you'll have to return everything you stole. And wait to be summoned to the investigator. I won't arrest you, but if Angela Yuraevna doesn't withdraw the report, you're facing, at best, 2 years probation. Olga Ivanovna turned pale at the prospect. Are you kidnapped? I'm a mother, I've taken what's mine. What do I do now? Go to jail for what's mine. These are no longer questions for me, the district police officer said indifferently. Come on, call your daughter-in-law in front of me and come to an amicable agreement to avoid criminal charges. It's shameful to break the law at your age. The police officer looked closely at Olga Ivanovna. Come on, let's put everything back where it belongs. She immediately called her daughter-in-law, and her voice was like a frightened sheep, thin and bleating. Angelochka, darling, how could this happen? Olga Ivanovna said to her daughter-in-law, almost crying. I didn't steal, I just took a little for myself. Why did you go straight to the police? So that you don't do it again, Angela replied. And I'll change the lock on the dacha, and I'll tell Mishka everything for giving you the keys. And anyway, Olga Ivanovna, how can you not be ashamed? As soon as something needs to be done at the dacha, you have a ton of problems. Either you don't have enough time, or your hemorrhoids have gotten worse. But as soon as you come and grab some supplies without asking, you immediately have time, and your health is in order. In order. Angela was extremely indignant, especially since she knew she was 100% right. The scene of returning the cans and potatoes looked epic. The bags Olga Ivanovna brought back to the dacha in the company of the local police officer turned out to be enormous, practically unliftable. They were filled to the brim. Cherry, strawberry and currant jam, pickled cucumbers and tomatoes, lecho compotes, stewed meat, almost a sack of potatoes and even a couple of jars of sauerkraut. Even the local police officer was a little shocked by the weight and volume of the loot. Quote, "How did you even figure all this out?" He was indignant. "And she can't handle her own burden," Olga Ivanovna replied. "It's all going to waste anyway. It'll go to waste on her. They won't eat that much." The mother-in-law was indignant. When the police officer brought the mother-in-law and the stolen goods back to the dacha, the neighbors and Angela herself were already by the fence, watching the return process with interest. Vasily Adamovich stood with an air of importance, loudly commenting, quote, Look, I'm back. And here's the compote. And why was she planning to grow so many potatoes on the balcony? Angela would have been upset if it had all disappeared into the depths of that Olga Ivanovna's apartment. Quote, "You're going to laugh at me, you've come to mock me," the mother-in-law snapped. "We don't steal," Vasily Adamovich replied calmly. "We respect other people's work, not like you." Olga Ivanovna nearly sank into the ground with shame. Meanwhile, Angela was accepting and counting the jars. She absolutely did not want to look at her mother-in-law, much less communicate with her. But the next day, Olga Ivanovna, having calmed down and eager to make peace, finally decided to call Angela. Her voice was plaintive, like that of someone whose pride had been trampled. Quote, "Angela, maybe you should withdraw the statement?" She began. "I'm so ashamed. The neighbors are laughing, but I didn't write a statement," Angela answered calmly. Vadik, the local police officer, is my classmate. He honestly earned his bottle of cognac and a few jars of preserves. But if you ever come into my house without permission again, I'll write a statement. Rest assured. I understand, the mother-in-law sighed heavily. But I'm your husband's mother. That's right, Angela said firmly. You're a mother and you're stealing from your son and daughter-in-law, and that's not right. If you want some jam or potatoes, come over, but call in advance and come as a guest, not a looter. Okay, Olga Ivanovna muttered and hung up. From that day on, Angela's life at the dacha changed. She installed new locks, bought a CCTV camera, and Olga Ivanovna no longer showed up at the dacha unannounced. She'd only occasionally call and plaintively ask for a jar of jam or some potatoes. Angela generously gave them, but there were no more raids with bags. The neighbors remembered that incident for a long time, and Vasily Adamovich would wink at Angela whenever they saw each other and say, "So, did the police help back then?" "You bet," Angela smiled. "And thank you for your observation." "Oh, no big deal," the neighbor waved his hand. "You need mothers-in-law like that, like weeds. If you don't nip them in the bud, they'll take over the whole garden bed." And Angela agreed with him.